Hey everyone. D'Angelo, you are so bright and colorful today. You trying to give me vibes?
I really am. I had a match swag. You got on the orange today. I see you like bright. I see you over there.
I'm saying you really inspired me to make sure that I'm wearing more black owned brands. So today I'm wearing my Run the Play jacket. And so this is one of my very good friends and my mentor, Justin Owens, New Age CEO, his brand. So definitely take a look and look him up. We got to get you in some gear too, D, for sure.
Oh, I'm all about the gear. Today I'm wearing no trap clothing. And I just felt like with the topic today, you know how I want to look real guru-ish, real like mindfulness. And
Very
this
zen,
is
very
a
zen.
peaceful top here. Yes.
Beautiful. And we're going to usher in those vibes with Sis Imani today. You want to say hello to the beautiful
Yes.
people today?
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm just going to show y'all I'm wearing my brand, The Art of Living, name of my book. So, Black owned. We keeping the theme going. Good to see you all. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Well, fantastic. Well, hello, every beautiful body out there. My name is Blair G. Hervey. I am the founder and CEO of The Corporate Strategist. I'm joined by my colorful co-host, my bestie soul friend of 20 plus years, as well as one of our independent consultants with The Corporate Strategist, D'Angelo Crane.
Yes. Well, thank you for throwing that in today because I do love working with and for the corporate strategist and excited about being here today. I am the diversity geek or on Instagram, your Southern Gent on any given day. You can call me either one of those names. I will answer to both of them or just D. So glad to be here this afternoon with you, of course, always.
I love that. Just like you say all the time, you can call me what you want, but make sure you
Call me. Hello. That's what I always say. Hello, somebody.
and welcome everyone to the Black DEIBA Collective podcast. We always love to say that you can't spell DEIBA without D and B. So here we are with your daily dose of that. So D, I'm gonna pass it back to you for our favorite part of the segment, or one of our favorite parts.
It is, it's the art of the check-in. And when we do the art of the check-in, it's not just that surface level check-in. We want you to go deep. If there's something on your mind, it's something you're feeling, because what we're saying to all employees and managers and leaders who are talking to their employees, you should be asking these questions of how are you feeling today and really wanting to hear, learn, and grow from their responses. So, Imani, I'm asking you, how are you
Yes.
feeling today?
I am feeling amazing. Definitely in deep thought, but I am just feeling good. Always love being around our people, being energized by our people, and of course, having a topic of discussion like this. So I'm feeling great.
That's awesome, and we feel great to have you here. And Blair, how you feeling today? What's on your mind and heart today?
I'm feeling very zen. We're just ushering in some good energy. I'm excited to talk about a very interesting topic. Overall, feeling very productive. I think I shared with you all yesterday. I am in my roots, kind of. I'm across the bridge, but I'm in New Albany, Indiana, at this co-working space, and it just fills me with all the productivity vibes. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very good. And back to you. How are you?
I think your productivity vibes are rubbing off on me because I've been up at 6 a.m. for the last 2 days working. So yeah, so thank you very much, Blair, for your productivity vibes. I'm a sleeper into the last minute, but lately I've been getting up early. So there you go. Get my day started.
I love that. Well, as you get your day started, I hope you're getting some rest as well to keep you energized. I'm sure that some of what we'll be talking about as well with Imani Muhammad today, who is joining us. Now, Imani was actually born in Oregon. So D'Angelo only believes that there are 5 to 10 Black people in Oregon. And we are going to prove him wrong today because we're going to give some background all about where we live. But Imani actually began her youth development career over 25 years ago. She's the founder of Y.O.U.TH, that's Y.O.U.TH, and I would love for you to tell us what that stands for. And Imani has dedicated her life to the city of Portland and continues to work with families in a variety of ways. In her spare time, she coaches her son's 5th grade basketball team and loves to spend time with her son and her new dog, Kai. She's also facilitated 5 years in the DEI space and currently facilitates staff development and professional learning for a nonprofit organization while being the executive director of her own nonprofit. So let's give it up for Imani. My goodness. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, that was definitely a mouthful. It definitely made me energized as well. You are a mom, you are a dog mom, you're running a nonprofit, and of course, you're doing this work. So tell us a little bit more about yourself in your own words and what brought you into this space.
Absolutely. First of all, thank y'all for having me. I always got to give credit where credit is due. So I love this platform. I love what you all are doing. So appreciate that. Um, Born and raised in Portland. The five that D'Angelo is talking about are my family, and there's other families in Portland. So let's just say that we do exist. We are out here. We do live in the Northwest, but born and raised here in Portland. I started my journey working with young people when I was 19 years old, working for Boys and Girls Club. And I learned early on that I wanted to only work with young people at that time. I didn't want to deal with adults. Adults have other issues. And so I began just working with kids, working with young people, for many, many years. And as I kind of moved up in the organization, went from just kind of a part-time staff to program manager to running couple of our clubs. I just kind of moved up that leadership ladder. And at that point, maybe about a year ago, realized that I really wanted to do work with the adults that are working with our young people for all the reasons, right? And so that's kind of my journey in terms of youth development. Along that way, I got inspired by a tragic death of one of my students. I did a little teaching for 3 years. And in 2007, one of my students was gunned down. And he lost his life in 2007. His name is Devontae Lightfoot. And 3 weeks after his death, we held what we call now the first youth summit in Portland. And Mike Capes, for those that may not know, Mike Capes is a rapper here out of the town. And he was actually a high school student at the time. He was on one of the panels that we had, and he basically, someone asked him the question, what do you all need more of? Young people, what do you all need more of? And he said, we need more events like this. And so this one event that was really my way of grieving my young, student who passed away turned into 14, 15 plus years of putting on youth events. And so that's the nonprofit Youth. It stands for Youth Organized and United to Help. And youth is not only age and number. Youth is also that youthful spirit. So I consider myself a youth in respect of that energy, right? And having that young vibe around us. And so the nonprofit started just as event-based, just providing free events for young people. And then in 2019, we switched into programming. And so our mission is really to dismantle the school to prison pipeline by working with educators, families, and young people by challenging existing structures and systems. And so we do that through literacy. We do that through parent advocacy. We do that through DEI trainings that definitely I'll talk about shortly. And then we do that just by being that community hub and pillar for our young people, primarily focusing on the Black first, but Black, Brown, and Indigenous youth are our priority. And of course, when we address that, we address all. So my journey is a colorful journey. I have an 11-year-old son who is my joy. And we just got a dog. We are a week in, y'all, a week in. And I'm still alive and I'm still breathing, but I'm tired. New puppy. So, we're putting in that work. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I'm just committed. I travel a lot, but I love Portland. I get to still say that, even in the midst of all the things that Portland is bringing. But definitely just committed to our people and our rise and our success, throughout the world.
I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you're doing in the community. It definitely makes it much more colorful, all puns intended. And I love living there as well. So all the work that you do with the youth is definitely appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem. Well, do you want to take us on to the topic?
Yeah, definitely, because I'm really excited about today's topic. In the words of a profound poet laureate performer, truth is I'm tired, options are few, I'm trying to pray, but where are you? Now, when Tamla Mann sung those words, she was talking about her faith, but many times in the workplace in America today, Black employees, Black citizens, Black Americans are saying, where is our relief? Where is people taking care of us holistically when we think about our mental, emotional, and physical well-being? Right now, 84% of millennial workers have experienced some sort of burnout. 70% of employees are saying they aren't doing enough to present, our companies aren't doing enough to alleviate burnout. And nearly 50% have left their job due to burnout. And you can only imagine what those numbers are looking like for Black employees who are also experiencing racial trauma and microaggressions and all other sorts of bias that's happening in the workplace each and every day. Because of all this that's taking place and because of the focus on mental health that really started when we think about George Floyd in 2020, and when people said we need to look at the total holistic employee and how they're coming to work, we've seen an increase in mental health apps. And I just want to give you a few that we're hearing about that you can look into that are Black owned. Somewhere Geared, Shine, Minds of Culture, or Exhale are just a few Black owned mindfulness apps. And it really takes us to today's topic, talking about practicing mindfulness in the workplace. What does that look like? What does it feel like? How do you center yourself? Maybe you're using an app. Maybe you're going in a place to just say a little prayer. Maybe you're taking a walk outside. And so we're going to talk to Imani about how do you practice that? What are some tools and tips that you can take with you in your day that you can simply do to focus, re-energize, and get yourself back to a place of a center when you're having a moment where you feel like you're all over the place. So Imani, tell me a question that we ask all of our people when it comes to the show. When is that pivotal moment that you knew that you wanted to do this work, really centered around helping Black youth? I know you told us about the young man. Was there another moment, or you want to talk more about that moment? When was that moment when you knew I need to help us folks, especially around mindfulness?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I was just really reflecting on the stats that you just ran down. And like you said, when you look at how we show up in the workplace, those numbers are probably triple or double those. For me, I will say, and I want to start the journey of just my parentage and my lineage. So my father is white, my mother is Black, and so I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Let me just state that too. With that interracial dynamic out the gate. And personally, I believed early on in my life that I was a bridge. I would always go to the Black grandma's house for Christmas, and then in the evening we go to the white grandma's house in the daytime. In the evening we go to the Black grandma's house because everybody's just hanging out. There was no time to schedules. You just show up when you get there, right? And so I grew up always being a part of both cultures. And so personally, there was that bridge mentality from day one. And then I think for me, I had, there's been, racist moments, living in Portland, skinheads, all types of things I've experienced. I've been called, out of my name a couple of times. And so I think just having that experience and knowing that representation matters has always been a motivational piece for me. And so when I got into the workforce, when I got into leadership, when I got into being a director and a club director and started my own nonprofit, I don't do that for me. You know what I mean? I'm doing that so that if I'm the first, great, I'm gonna kick down that door so that we can have another 1,000 come through. So I'm really motivated to live outside of myself, and then setting that example for others. So that's the one piece too. I also want to say too, and this is a personal piece that I'll share. I used to be so afraid to talk to people in a group setting, let alone 50 people, let alone 1,000 people. I used to stand in front of folks with the microphone and cry. I couldn't get a word out, right? I would just break down because I, at the time, didn't know what it was. Later learned that it was anxiety, right? And so the way I overcame that, I started telling myself, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Just having that self-talk. And it's going to lead me into that mindfulness in a second, but I gotta go here real quick. But I started having the self-talk around just, Imani, you're okay. What's the worst that can happen? The audience has no idea what you're getting ready to do. You're in control. Like literally had to tell myself these things. And now I'm as comfortable. I mean, I still sweat under the armpits, of course, but I'm as comfortable as I can be because I've practiced that. But it was the mantras, right? It was that self-talk. And so I share that because people would see me today and they're just like, oh, you're so comfortable. And it's like, you have no idea the journey that it took me to get to that. But having that, not but, I want to say, it was the motivation of knowing that my life is more valuable than myself, right? Like I have to live for my people. I have to live for my community because representation matters. And so going into that workplace, around these topics, especially topics around like, diversity or racism that comes up, I think is very key for us as Black folks, but all people, but definitely for us, we have to tap into ourselves and understand, okay, what's coming up? What's the emotional reaction right now? And is this the best time to have a conversation, right? And when we're talking about diversity and equity and inclusion, which is now the new buzzword, 10 years ago it was diversity, today is equity. Who knows what it's going to be 10 years from now? But when we start talking about these topics, it is important that we ground ourselves and be able to know when we should enter into that conversation, when this is maybe an HR conversation, maybe this is off the clock conversation, because so much of these institutions and corporations that we work up under, 99.9% of them are dominantly ran, right? Dominant culture. So we're naturally going against opposition just by the nature of the system, right? So it's important that we check in with ourselves, constantly. And that check-in is just, okay, Imani, how we doing today? Okay, what's coming up? Okay, I feel my blood pressure rising. Is it because I'm excited or is it because I'm triggered? Right. And being able to have those conversations with ourselves. I know y'all know we was growing up and they say you can talk to yourself, but don't answer yourself. Right. Well, I believe we should be answering ourselves. You know what I mean? Because that will let us know, should I engage? Should I not? Should I step back? Should I, so I'm serious really about that. That's real. But I think again, that's to answer your question, because I can go on and on. To answer your question, it was a couple of those pieces of, the death of one of my students, but also I think it goes all the way back to just my DNA and how I was brought up into this world. And I love both both parts of my family. But I also just know that I came out just saying, how do we all make sense of this? The two cultures that are completely different, but yet we got to coexist,
Absolutely. And that was well said. Now, you've brought up your background here. So I got to ask you one of our rapid fire questions real fast. Sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie?
Ooh, you gonna be mad at me? Neither. Bean pie.
Excuse
Navy
me?
bean pie. Yeah, I know.
My sister.
Navy bean pie. Navy
Yes.
bean pie.
Bean pie, my sister. Yes, she did that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, no, I'm sure that's a whole nother conversation. You might have to pack me up a little mini one so I could
I
try it
got
out.
you. I
And then I
got
can do
you.
a live response to my taste in bean pie. But when we're talking about mindfulness, the first time I heard this term, I think it was in a corporate space, a corporate setting.
Mm-hmm.
I had an invite that was put on my calendar for yoga. And then there was another day I had an invite that was put on my calendar for meditation. And I'm sitting here just,
Mm-hmm.
this was new for me. It was very uncomfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
if you are brought up in typically, a Black culture or a Black family, that may not be something that you do that you're familiar with. And then there are other cultures who may say that, what Western medicine doesn't work on an Eastern mind. So that is what they do. They don't want to try anything else, but taking the time to meditate or taking the time to think about other practices that allow them to be still, quiet, allow thoughts to kind of pass through their mind. But for folks who are just like, this seems like something that is very unfamiliar. I don't know what to do with this. My thoughts keep racing. And, I've never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
What questions do you have for people when you're explaining, number one, what is mindfulness? And number two, give me 3 examples of how we can actually practice that and put that into play, particularly in the workplace.
Absolutely. So I first would start off with kind of dispelling the myth of, not the myth, but the definition of mindfulness, right? Because I think to your point, when we hear mindfulness, we go in our minds to Eastern philosophy or yoga, which, let me be clear, originated from us. But the way that it's being promoted, it makes it look like it's not us, right? Or it's another, it's just not attractive to us a lot of times. So I would say mindfulness, really my personal definition, is again being in tune with yourself, right? What is your mind thinking in this moment? Like literally simplifying ourselves to say, okay, being present in the moment and what's around me right now. Mindfulness is literally being able to name the physical things that are around me, my curtains, my desk, my table, right? It's a noticing. So it's an awareness and a noticing factor. So to me, that's the pure definition of like mindfulness, is being aware of your surroundings, being in present time, not focus on the past and not thinking about tomorrow. So what do we have right now in this moment? So at 12:20 p.m., this is all that I got. This is the reality right now. Nothing is after and nothing's before other than present time. So I think just getting our mind to be present is the first kind of practice. I think in the workplace, um, excuse me, I think one of the things that we can do is they, taking breaks. They give a lot of smoke breaks, but let's talk about just a mindfulness break, stepping away from the computer for 5 minutes, being able to unplug from whatever the task is and taking a walk outside. I think someone mentioned that already. That gets you out of the grind and that daily routine and just getting some fresh air, especially in Portland when the vitamin D is not, hitting like it needs to. But we need to get fresh air, and even if it's raining, going outside. So I think taking a moment to, take walks. And then I would say if there's anyone that's listening that runs an organization, I would say mindfulness looks different for everyone else. So I think creating opportunities of access. So let's say you have yoga, you have a massage, you have I don't know, a pedicure, whatever it is, you're creating a day where you're allowing your employees to opt in, not forced, but opt in to how they choose. Maybe for folks, mindfulness is I need that day off, right? So being able to get creative with helping people to be mindful about what they're doing. I think the other piece that I'll say is that oftentimes corporations are very task driven and we are a relational people. And so when you can balance the two, right? Yes, we got to get the deadlines met, of course, but also what does that look like? And how do you create a collaborative and a collective atmosphere where everyone's meeting deadlines, but you're having fun doing it, right? And being more joyful. I think again, that to me is also being mindful, right? Being a mindful human being and understand that humans are complex and what works for one person may not work for another person. So, and then I love the apps that you all mentioned too, I mean, and some people need those tools to be able to start that practice as well. But I think I would love for us to get outside of that Webster dictionary of mindfulness and really just think about it. How does it work for ourselves? And what does that look like? And being more present,
Yeah, and there's some great examples out there too. I mean, I love the examples that you gave. Definitely going for a walk, my sisters. We're gonna have to put some on our hair, or have a protective style. We're not gonna let the rain keep us from taking a walk, but spending some time with your four-legged friend, right? With your animals, that's a good way to, of course, calm down. Of course, reading a book or some type of poetry or even coloring. I love adult coloring books. I also read that massaging your earlobes is great for mindfulness, or maybe even your temples. And another one I love, it said busting a move. So doing a little dance, a little
I was
bend
just going to
down.
say, yep.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if nothing else, just like we did before we got started, take a deep breath. I like to stretch up ahead. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself a moment to, like you said, be present before moving forward. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You gave so many great examples there of what leaders can do and what employees can do. When you think about this, where do organizations need to start if they're thinking about how to support their employees around mindfulness? What's the first place? What's the first thing they can do, or the first two things they can do to help support their employees, and where do they start at?
Yeah, I think first thing is always reallocating resources and the funding. Oftentimes we don't put enough funding into taking care of our employees, right? We look at whatever else, right? And so I think there has to be a strong budget for employee benefits, but employee benefits outside of just healthcare, right? Employee benefits are those extra perks. So I think that's number one. Is reallocating the funds that already are coming into the organization. How do you take care of the people that are taking care of your company? And then I think too is also just being aware that, and I said it already, but that self-care looks different for everyone. And so one thing that, and I'll just use this example because we're actually trying to push this and through an organization that I'm working for, is creating a fund, right? A stipend fund. I don't have the best words for it, but a fund where if an employee, very similar to like an education fund, right? So an employee wants to start PCC or go to college, having something similar for a self-care fund, right? Because again, sometimes our staff are not getting paid at the rate to be able to take those trips or be able to get a massage every 3 months or whatever it is. So if the organization or company can create a fund where someone can opt into and say, hey, I would like to tap into $500, to be able to do said thing, right? So just being able to have other ways of access for our employees, to be able to feel better about their job. Those days of just labor and just work you to the bone, those are done. Like if COVID didn't show us that, I don't know what else did. And so those days are over, and people are not coming to jobs to look for that type of life. So employers, have to look different about how do you take care of your employees and how do you take care of those that come through your doors, especially the Black, Brown, and Indigenous people who we know have been suffering by systems for so many years, right? So, none of us are running to a 40-hour-a-week job. We don't want to do that anymore. Now, I happen to do it because I have my own business.
I thought I was like, wait a minute.
On my terms, right?
I was like, where you at? I mean, yes, we not doing that no more, but there's those days when we do the 50 and then we do the 30. We balance it out. Okay, we balance it out.
On our terms, right? On our terms. That's the thing. It's like them labor jobs, you either had to be there or you were getting the pink slip. Now we're kind of like, yep, I'm gonna take control of my time. And so when you have that mindset, employers got to figure it out. And so I think those are two things: reallocate the funds, and then be able to maybe create a fund or a pool where people can opt into and apply to access some of that.
I like that. You already know. I mean, I heard 2 F's. But what I also heard was if you want to increase productivity and performance, you need to increase psychological safety, the 3 P's.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All day.
I thought she was going to say if you want to increase the piece, you got to increase the pay or something. I thought you was going to go somewhere with that. But yeah, I like it. I like where you're going with that. Yes, I like where
we'll get back to that next time. Excellent. Okay, we only have a couple of minutes, and we want to make sure we get this rapid fire in. So I'll. Do you want to alternate, D? I can start with one.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it in.
So keeping the vibes: yoga or meditation?
Meditation.
Okay. Lauryn Hill or Erykah Badu?
Why would you do that? Lauryn Hill.
Okay. Money or happiness?
I mean, happiness, but money can help you get happy. I'm gonna go with happiness.
There you go.
All right. What's love got to do with it? Or Ray?
What's love got to do with it?
Okay. Okay.
Last one. One episode at a time or binge watch a whole season?
One episode at a time.
Okay. Good for you. I love that. Those were, I got some good insights.
I love those.
Well, good. Well, thank you for participating. We appreciate you. I think you gave us some great tips, some things that people can take into a meeting for sure. You helped us establish a business case for something new. If nothing else, reallocate those funds, y'all. D, I'm gonna pass it back to you for us to wrap up.
All right. My shout out today is to Trisha Hershey, who is the founder of the NAP Ministry. I just heard about this. And she's the creator of Rest is Resistance framework and a book. And 2 of the things that came out of her book that I saw people talking about today is 2 things. The book is called Rest is Resistance, is our worth is not connected to how much labor we can withstand. And overworking is not a badge of honor. So if you can take anything with you, that is from the lady who has the NAP Ministry. Look her up on the LinkedIn. All right, Blair, back to you.
Lovely. Thank you again. Thank you, sis, for joining us today, Imani. You did a wonderful job. I know you had a post up that said you were a little nervous and maybe you were sweating under the pits because it happens to all of us, but you did a fantastic job. No anxiety shown on your face. Graceful, and you gave us all the tips that we needed. For everyone else out there, please feel free to join us every single day, a little daily dose of D&B or a little daily dose of Debo with D&B with the Black DEIBA Collective every day at 12 p.m. PT and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great day.
Peace,
Bye.
y'all. Thank you.
Bye.